she travels to Scotland with her husband, and she travels 200 years to the past in Scotland, and then, well, the series goes about everything that happens over there. I don't want to spoil it, obviously, but yeah, I think that if you have the chance, at least watch the first episode of the series, and I think you will love it. At least I do. But now I would like you to get comfortable, and relax. And I really hope you enjoy it. It was cold and misty, and I dug my hands deeper into the pockets of my cardigan. One final push-up over the crest of the hill, and the henge was before us. The stones barely visible in the somber light of pre-dawn. Frank stood stock still, admiring them, while I subsided onto a convenient rock, panting. "Beautiful," he murmured. He crept silently to the outer edge of the ring, his shadowy figure disappearing among the larger shadows of the stones. Beautiful they were, and bloody eerie too. I shivered, and not entirely from the cold. If whoever had made them had meant them to impress, they'd known what they were doing. Frank was back in a moment. "No one here yet," he whispered suddenly from behind me, making me jump. "Come on, I've found a place we can watch from." The light was coming up from the east now, just a tinge of paler grey on the horizon, but enough to keep me from stumbling as Frank led me through a gap he had found in some alder bushes near the top of the path. There was a tiny clearing inside the clump of bushes, barely enough for the two of us to stand shoulder to shoulder. The path was clearly visible though, and so was the interior of the stone circle, no more than 20 feet away. Not for light in the east had turned a pale pink, and I supposed it was less than half an hour till dawn. The first one moved almost as silently as Frank. There was only the faintest of rattles as her feet dislodged a pebble near the crest of the hill, and then the neat grey head rose silently into sight. Mrs. Graham. So it was true then. The minister's housekeeper was sensibly dressed in tweed skirt and woolly coat, with a white bundle under one arm. She disappeared behind one of the standing stones, quiet as a ghost. They came quite quickly after that, in ones and twos and threes, with subdued giggles and whispers on the path that were quickly shushed as they came into sight of the circle. I recognize a few. Here came Mrs. Buchanan, the post mistress. Blonde hair, freshly permed, and the scent of evening in Paris wafting strongly from its waves. I suppressed a laugh. So this was a modern-day druid. There were 15 in all, and all women, ranging in age from Mrs. Graham's 60-odd years to a young woman in her early 20s, whom I had seen pushing a pram round the shops 2 days before. All of them were dressed for rough walking, with bundles beneath their arms. With a minimum of chat, they disappeared behind stones or bushes, emerging empty-handed and bare-armed, completely clad in white. I caught the scent of laundry soap as one brushed by our clump of bushes, and recognized the garments as bedsheets, wrapped about the body and knotted at the shoulder. They assembled outside the ring of stones in a line from eldest to youngest, and stood in silence, waiting. The light in the east grew stronger, and the line of women began to move, walking slowly between two of the stones. The leader took them directly to the center of the circle and led them round and round, still moving slowly, stately as swans in a circular procession. The leader suddenly stopped, raised her arms, and stepped into the center of the circle. Raising her face towards the pair of easternmost stones, she called out in a high voice, not loud, but clear enough to be heard throughout the circle. The still mist caught the words and made them echo as though they came from all around, from the stones themselves, stars